everyone, this is Miss Elizondo. I am going to go over slope, rate of change, and slope-intercept form. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is slope. We are going to look at slope from a table, graph, and 2 points. So go ahead and pause this video and do a sketch of the table and of the graph. We are going to find the slope first from the table. So I am going to show you by hand. Go ahead and whenever you find a table and you're going to find the slope, you're going to find the rate of change of y over the change of x. So again, the y goes on top and the x is the numerator. So let's go ahead and find the difference from 5 to 3. We could just do one set of change, but I'm going to go ahead and do both. So from 5 to 3, if you notice, we are going down, so that means we are subtracting. So 5 minus 2 gives you 3. The next one, we are going to see 3 to 1. So again, 3 minus 2 gives you 1. Now when we look at the x's, from 0 to 3, you are adding 3. And then 3 plus 3 again gives you 6. So our change in our x's is 3. So now to find the m, I'm going to rewrite this real quick. Our change in our y values is -2. And the change in our x values is 3. Now if we could simplify this, we would, but since 2 and 3 cannot be simplified anymore, this is our slope. It is negative. That means that it is going down 2 if we were to graph this, and then right 3. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the graph. So I can see that we have a y-intercept here at 3, and now what I'm going to want to do is find another home number point. That means we are looking to find where the grid lines and the graph all intersect at once. So I find that as I go down right here. And looking at our graph from left to right, I can see that our graph is going down. That means I know we're going to have a negative slope. So think about a mountain. If you're going down, you're going to be thinking maybe negative thoughts. So you're kind of scared. So you're negative slope. So when we look at a graph, what I want you to think about is the rise over the run. And since we are going down, technically our rise is negative. And make sure that you look at the units. So we're going 1, 2, that's -2 here. And our run, we have to run to the right. You're always running to the right to find your slope. That unit is just 1, so we put a 1 right there. -2 over 1, you might see the answer as just -2. These both mean the same thing. Okay, and again, pause the video real quick and do a little sketch of the table and the graph. So again, we are going to look at this table one more time to practice, and I would suggest even pausing right now and trying it on your own and see if you can get it so that you are better prepared for your midterm exam next week. So this time from 1 to 3, that's +2, and from 3 to 5, that's +2. So our change in our y's is a +2. Now looking at our x's, from 0 to 1, that's +1. From 1 to 2, that's +1. And we put a +1 right there. So 2 over 1 is the same thing as saying just +2. Again, either or is the correct answer. Real quick, I wanted to point out, let's say your numbers were different, the changes from like this 2 and that 2. Make sure that if you're using this number right here, you're using the first number on the x side as well. Okay, So now for this graph right here, as you can see from left to right, it is going up. So think about if you're going up a mountain, you're thinking positive thoughts because you can't wait to get to the top. So again, we want to find two whole number points, and we can find two other points, but notice how they already gave us 2 points. So again, I'm going to find the rise over the run. And since it's positive this time, I'm going to go up and then to the right. Now I'm going to make my little camelbacks, and we're going by 1 unit, so that's plus 4 units over, how many do we need to run? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you can notice, 4 over 6, we can reduce those two by 2. And we will get 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So our final slope is 2 over 3. So if you notice from one point to the next, if we go up 2 and over 3, we should be landing on the graph. Up 2 again, over 3, we land on the graph. Up 2 over 3, we land on the graph. Okay, so now we're going to go over 2 points with slope. So I'm going to write the formula. If we're given 2 points, the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So once you write the formula down at the top of your paper, the next step to do is to label your points. So x1 and x2, because the first number in each ordered pair is the x. And then this is our y1 and our y2. Now the next step that follows, I'm going to kind of make a little skeleton of my formula. And then after that, all I have to do is plug it in. So there I have the points plugged into our formula. And if you notice, we have 2 negatives right there. Make sure whenever you see 2 negatives, that changes to a positive. And now we are going to simplify. So 9 minus 3 is 6. 4 plus 2 is 6. And we can reduce that. 6 over 6, a number divided by itself, is 1. So our m is equal to 1 on this one. Now on the next one, I'm going to show you a different way you can do this if you like using the table. If you think that the table is easier than the formula, you can turn this into a table. So here I have it as a table. Remember, these are your x values, these are your y values, and we are going to use the formula change of y over the change of x. And our change of y values right here from -2 to +7. -2 plus 9 is 7. And 1 to 4, we need to add 3 on this side. So our change in our x's is 3. Our change in our y's is 9. And again, we can reduce this. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. So our slope is equal to 3, or 3 over 1. And one last thing, if we look at the points or a table, you could also use the regression in your calculator to get your m value, which is the a value in the calculator, if you know how to do the regression in the calculator, but the a is the same thing as the m. Okay, so if you know how to find that, you can use that to get your slope. Okay, next one we are going to go over is the rate of change. This is just like slope, but using words. So looking at this first table here, instead of using x and y, we are using time and hours and money from tutoring. I'm still going to label x and y, and I'm going to use change of y over the change of x, and also label with words. So I did a real quick setup here with words. I just used the money sign for money and hours for hours. So now let's go ahead and find that rate of change. So if we're looking at our y values, 25 to 50, that's plus 25, 50 to 75, that's plus 25. So our rate of change is 25. Now there is a mistake here on the hour side. This is supposed to be a 5. Sorry about that. So now let's find the change in the hours. From 1 to 3, that's plus 2. From 3 to 5, that's plus 2. So our change in hours is 2. So we can say $25 for every 2 hours, or we can divide that, and it is actually, that simplifies to be 12.5. So we can say $12.50 for each hour, each 1 hour. Okay, so now let's head over to the table. Now this is one that a lot of you struggled with, so please, please, please pay attention. So again, with the, not the table, with the graph, we are going to look at the change in y. I'm going to write the change in y over the change of x in this one. So our change in our y values, our y is temperature. So temperature over hours, which is our change in our x. So now look carefully. What I want you to notice is what are the units for the y values. If you notice, every 2 units is 4. So that means that every 1 unit is 2. Now this is a positive slope, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So if you notice, to get from one point to the next, we need to rise 2 units, but remember, every 2 units is 2. So that means we actually rose from 8 to 12. That is 4 right there. So our temperature was an increase of 4 degrees over, look at the time, the same thing with the time, the x values here. The x's are going by 2 each time. So if we're going over 1, that's not really 1, that's a 2. So it's 4 degrees for every hour. Every 2 hours, my bad. And we can reduce each one by 2. 4 and 2 can reduce by 2, so that is 2 over 1. So for every 2 degrees, you are increasing by 1 hour. So we can write it 2 degrees, or 2 degrees Fahrenheit per 1 hour. Okay, let's practice this one more time. So again, if you remember, it is the change in y over the change in x. In this case, we are talking about cookies per hour, or cookies over hours. So let's look at the change in the cookies. From 8 to 5, we're subtracting 3. From 5 to 3, we're subtracting 3, so that is going to give us a negative 3 for the change in our y values, our cookies. And then for the x's, the hours, that's a change in plus 1. And again, a change in plus 1, so that's positive 1. So basically, somebody is eating 3 cookies per hour. And looking at our graph over here, again, I am going to use our change in y over change in x. Sorry about that. Change in y over the change in x. And again, be careful with the units. Let's look at the units here. For our x values, we are going by 0.5 for every 1 unit, if you could see that, because every 1 is 2 units. And then this little squiggly thing just means that we're going to skip all the numbers, but we're still, because our numbers are starting a little higher. So after 72, if you notice from 72 to 74, that is also going by, actually that is going by 1 unit per unit, okay? So keep that in mind as we find the change. So that is 2 units there we're decreasing by, and it's temperature. So our temperature is decreasing by 2 this time, and then our time in hours, let's see what's happening to our hours. Remember I said every 1 unit is 0.5, every 2 is 1, so we're actually just going over just 2 units, which is a whole hour. So the tank temperature is going down 2 degrees Fahrenheit every 1 hour. So 2 degrees Fahrenheit every hour. Okay, let's go ahead and check out rate of change from this word problem. I'm going to start off by reading it and circling and underlining the important information. So it says, Bianca currently has $6 in her savings account. She wants to save her weekly allowance to buy gifts this holiday season. After the first week, she has $38. Find the rate in which Bianca earns money every week. So automatically, when they say the word rate, they are talking about, you guessed it, slope. So let's go ahead and take our data and make a table. So our x values and our y values. The 2 things that we are talking about here is money and weeks. So since money depends on weeks, weeks is our x-axis, our x value, and money is our y value. Now I can see my 2 money values, and my first amount of money, we started off with $6, and then that increased to $38. And it says that the first week she earned 38. So next to 38 for the x value, I'm going to go ahead and put 1. So now if 38 is week 1, if we backtrack, when she had $6, that's technically week 0 because that's when she started. Now let's go ahead and find our rate of change. And I'm going to write the change of y over change of x again. Please make sure that you remember that and have it written down so that when you look back to find a similar problem for your midterm, that you can find this and write down the same thing. Change of y over change of x. We are talking about money over weeks. So let's go ahead and get to work. So our change in our y values from 6 to 8. Go ahead and find the difference in that. That is 22, I believe. And hopefully by this point you're like, excuse me, Miss Elizondo, you wrote down the wrong number. That's actually a 32. So our change in our y values is $32. And our change in our weeks is just 1 week. So in 1 week, she made $32. $32 in 1 week. And there you have it for this problem. Okay, the last part of today's notes is over slope-intercept form, which you know as y equals mx plus b. Please make sure you are able to identify the m and the b value. The m stands for the slope, and the b value is our y-intercept. So again, m stands for the slope, the number in front of the x value, and the y-intercept is the b, the number that stands alone, the constant in your equation. So what I like to do when I'm looking at a graph here is identify our b. Our b is where we begin, okay? Our beginning. And again, we said it's the y-intercept. So my B value, where I touch the y-axis, is 1, 2, 3, is positive 3. And now, just like we found the slope from a graph, I'm going to do that with the 2 points that are given to us. So our M value, the change in our Y values here, is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a negative 4 because we're going down. And then to go over, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 5. And since we cannot reduce that, that is our slope. So now let's plug in what we know. So y equals our M, which is negative 4 over 5. Put the x next to it, plus your B value, which is 3. Our starting point is 3, and then we go down 4 and right 5 to make the next point on our graph where we made the line. And one more example just to make sure that you understand. So again, we are starting out with our B value, our y-intercept. And in this case, they gave us the actual ordered pair 0, 4. So our y value is the second number. So our B, our y-intercept, is just 4. Our slope is a positive because I can see that it's going up from left to right. So from 4 to our y value of 10, that is going up 6, or you can count the units 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that B value is going to be a positive 6 for the change in our y values over, we're running from 0 to 3, that is plus 3. And 6 over 2 simplifies to be just 2. So that means every 2 units we go up, we run 1, and we should be crossing our graph like that. So that is correct. And again, we just plug it into our formula, y equals mx plus b. And actually, guys, I made another mistake here. This is our m, our slope. I'm sorry about that. So y equals mx plus b. So our m is 2, so y equals 2x plus 4. So if we look at this, let's see if that is correct. We start off at 4 for the y-intercept, and then we're going up 2 and over 1. Up 2, over 1, up 2, over 1. So that is correct when we match it up with our graph. Okay, guys, thank you all. This is the end of our notes for today. Please make sure that you go to Schoology and start the assignment. Make sure if you have any questions, you keep them for tomorrow, or you can also email me. I'll be here in the afternoon. And the other last thing, make sure you have done the daily check-in for today to count for attendance. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.